Okay, all right, guys. Welcome to another video. In the last video, I showed you an analogy of what variables are and what data types actually are. So today we are going to write programs. First, we are going to start with how to write, how to you can declare variables. We call it declaration of variables, and how you can actually assign values into those variables. Okay, so I'm going to be using one stone to kill two birds. Okay, so let's head over to Visual Studio Code. I have mine started already, so start yours. We're going to open a new program. I'm going to call it var.py. Okay, so there is a convention for naming variables in Python. Every language has such what do we call it, convention, so that when other programmers, Python programmers, get to see your Python code, they actually get to understand what you're trying to do, and they follow up. So number one is um, when you're writing Python programs, okay, and you want to declare a variable, the variable must be all lower case, okay. So lower case, by lower case we mean everything has to be just lower case, no capitals. You can start it with a symbol, you can start it with an underscore, but there are some things that I want to strictly tell you here. Let your variable names be unique. Let your variable names not start with a number, and let your variable names not also start with a symbol, okay, because at some point it might become a problem. So look for unique names and actually get to name your variables. So to name a variable, you just pick a name for it. For example, I want to write a simple program that will take a number and another number and multiply those numbers together and give me the output. So my variable names will be something like, I could say something like first, use an underscore. So I'll say first number equals to 50, and I will now say something like second number equals to 78, and I'll now say something like a third number equals to the first number multiply the operator is the asterisk. We'll talk about operators very soon, but for now just know that whatever we have there. Then I'll now say something like print. If I say print the third number, okay, so I'll say print third number, then I'll close that up. We've just written a program. This is basically the best way to declare your variables, and you see, if I hover my mouse over this, you see it says first number int, okay, so that means that particular memory location is holding what we call integers. All right, in a few minutes I'm going to be talking to you about data types, okay, but for now you see how variables are being named. Okay, so you see how variables are being named. It looks very nice, it looks very neat. If I get to run this program, you watch, it actually gives me 3,900, meaning that 50 times 78 is 3,900. So practically what I've got here is I created a container, and I put 50 in that container. I created another container and I called it, and I put 78 in it, and I created another container called third number, and then I put the value of when I take 50 and I multiply it by 78, and whatever I have as my output, I put it in this container, and then I send out that particular output. So basically that's how you declare variables in Python. The equal sign that we have here actually is speaking of something else. All right, the equal sign that we have here is speaking of something else. The equal sign is called an assignment operator. It does not mean that first number is equal to 50. It means take the value 50, okay, as a data, okay, as a resource, as data, or as a value, okay. Yes, let's use the word value. So take 50 as a value, okay, then go to a particular memory location, call that memory location first number, okay? And inside first number, which is like a container noun, put 50 inside it, all right? Put 50 as a value inside that container. So if the first number, let's say, was like a packet, let's say it was a packet of sugar, all right? And we are putting in 50 cubes of sugar inside, okay? All right, so we are saying the memory location is called first number, and the value inside of it is 50. Okay, so when you take this and you take this and then you multiply them, it actually gives you the value 3,900 that we have here. So basically, I would like you to learn how to name your variables in this format. If you have words that you want to join, okay, so you can use underscores to join them. It makes sure your work very easy. And I also want to advise you against having variables like x, y, and the rest of them, okay? So practically it works, all right, but it's not best practice. It works, okay, it's practicable, but it's not best practice. So what we are doing is we are not just teaching you how to use Python, we are also teaching you best practice in Python, so that when you get your code out there, you contribute to open source materials, you can actually get applauded and get some people appraise you because you know what you are doing. So now this is a variable. Now let's talk about data types. Okay, if I want to do something, I'll say, let me write another program here, or let me add another line of code here. I'll say print. Okay, I'll type in something that I might not explain, and I say first number. Okay, now when I actually get to run this program, I want you to look closely. It prints out here. All right, let me delete whatever we have here and have a fresh start. If I run this again, you see it prints 3,900, and then it prints class int. Okay, so we have different kinds of data types. All right, okay, so we have the int. Okay, so int is practically integer, any number that is a whole number. All right, any whole number is considered as an integer. So when you declare a variable, you can put a whole number, like we have 50 right here. Okay, we have 50 here, so 50 is an integer. You see, the text editor uses IntelliSense to show us that it's an integer. Okay, it is from the class int. So whatever whole number you have in Python is, it's a data type, and it's actually an integer. Now, if I should add 0.5 or 0.8, whatever, to this, it changes to float. Okay, so we have float. So the first data type that I have just shown to you is the int. Int are whole numbers, okay, both positive and negative. So if I had something like minus 50, okay, it still shows int, all right, because minus is whether it is positive or negative, as long as it's a whole number, as long as it does not have a decimal part, okay, as long as it does not have a decimal part, it is actually considered to be an integer. And now when it has a decimal part, it's considered as a float. All right, then we have another one. I just want to add this up, and I will say something like name equals to, I'll just type in my name. All right, Sams. And if I hover this, you find out it says str. Now str stands for string. Okay, now this string is actually what we will say it's a collection, okay, of alphabets and numbers and symbols. Okay, so I can have this to be 1 2 3 Psalms / this P. Okay, let's just say this is, for example, this is my email password. All right, so a combination of all these things. I could even add at here. Okay, and this actually becomes let's say this is my name or my password. All right, it's a string. It's a combination of alphabet characters. But when you want to create a string, you have to put it in either single quote or in double quotes. So I would say something like pass equals I'll say let me see, I'll just say Tina. All right, and that actually very nice way of demonstrating. If I should hover around this, you still see that it's still a string. Okay, so we have basically what we call integers, which are whole numbers. We have floating point numbers, which are actually numbers that have decimal. We have strings, which is a combination of characters, numbers, and alphabet that are enclosed in either single quote or in a double quote. Okay, so if I should say print, okay, this I'm going to use a function called type. Under the type, I will now say let's say pass, not that kind of pass, and I now say print type of second number. Okay, let me clear this and run the program again so that you can see. You see it prints 3940.0 and it's a float. You see it prints int because the first one we asked it to print was the type of first number, and it's saying it's an integer. Pass is actually a string, and second number is actually a float. Okay, then we have another type called the boolean. As time goes on, when we get into conditional statement, I will really take time to evaluate what we have as booleans. Okay, so basically we have integers, we have strings, and we have float. We'll talk about booleans, we'll talk about data structures. Okay, but these are just data types. All right, so I believe that with this you have been able to grab the concept of what data types are and what variables are. So what I do is I'm just going to give you an assignment on data on variables and data types, and I'd like you to do that assignment and actually get to test run how well you've been able to understand this particular lesson. So I'm just going to use what we call comments. I'll talk about comments later and write that. So your assignment will be assignment. So I'll just say write this program again and give it your own variable names. That's to let you know that the variable names are actually yours. You can decide whatever you want to give it, but make sure that the names are unique and they mean something. Okay, you don't just write a variable name because you want to write it. You see, mine is unique. I have a first number, second number, I have name, I have pass, but I could have taken this to be let's say a password, and that would make more sense. Okay, so get to write this program again and give it your own variable names. It's just a way for you to practice, all right, so that you really know what you are doing. Okay, you see this is giving me an error. I'll correct my error before I move. Okay, so that will be the end of today's class. I want you to practice with variables and data types. Okay, and you can just rewrite this program for practice sake and rerun it, but use your own variable names, and that will help you understand what we're actually doing here. So thank you very much for watching this video. See you in the next video, and you'll be learning a lot. Don't forget to subscribe to DSN-CALABAR. See you in the next video. Have a wonderful day.